I watched Hamnet right after my mother passed away. I couldn't sleep. My body was exhausted, but my mind wouldn't stop looping. Memories, regret, love, absence. So I watched the movie, and it broke me, quietly, truthfully. Hamnet isn't really about Shakespeare, and it's not even really about death. It's about grief. More specifically, it's about how grief doesn't arrive all at once, how it fractures people differently, and how love, no matter how real, no matter how beautiful, cannot protect you from loss. The first half of the film feels almost mythic in its tenderness. Two people fall in love, the brightness of early intimacy, children, nature, ritual, touch. And watching it, I find myself thinking something very human and very naive. Once you find love, why can't you just be happy? But the film already knows the answer. Because love isn't a finish line. Because we don't stop wanting. Because we don't stop listening to the voice inside us that says, there's more. Will and Agnes love each other deeply. That's never in question. But Will isn't content. There's a restlessness in him, a voice he can't silence, and that voice pulls him away. Not because he doesn't love his family, but because loving them doesn't quiet the part of him that needs expression. The film doesn't judge him for this. It just lets the fracture exist. The midpoint of the film is simple and brutal. Hamnet dies. From that moment on, the movie is no longer about love, or even life. It becomes about how people survive after something irreparable happens. The story splits in two directions. Agnes carries grief inward. She lives with it. It sits inside her like dead weight, unnamed, shapeless. Will does the opposite. He runs. He buries himself in work. He pours his agony, guilt, remorse, and longing into stories. Neither of them is wrong, but they become incompatible. And that incompatibility doesn't just strain the marriage, it becomes another wound layered on top of the first. Grief doesn't just hurt, it isolates. This is where Hamnet becomes something rare. The movie doesn't say that art heals grief. What it says is more honest. Art gives grief a form, something you can see, something you can touch. When Agnes goes to the theater, she's furious. She believes Will has profaned their son's name, turned private pain into spectacle. But then, she sees a boy on stage. She sees a ghost. She sees her husband embodying glass. And suddenly, the shapeless grief haunting her heart is outside her body. There's a moment near the end that I can't stop thinking about. Agnes reaches out. She touches the actor playing Hamnet. The boy holds her hand. And then something extraordinary happens. The audience reaches out too. Suddenly, grief becomes visible. And because it becomes visible, it becomes shareable. And watching that, right after losing my mother, I felt something I hadn't felt since she passed. Grief is lonely not because no one cares, but because no one else can feel exactly what you feel. Your memories, your regrets, your love, they are yours alone. But when I saw Agnes reach out, when I saw grief given a shape, when I saw an audience acknowledge it, I cried again. Because it understood something I was living inside. The grief isn't something you get over, it's something you carry. And sometimes, you just need to know that someone else can see it. Hamnet isn't a movie about getting over loss. It's about learning how to live with it. About how love doesn't save us from grief, but grief proves that love was real. And how art doesn't fix what's broken, but sometimes it holds the weight so you don't have to hold it alone. That's what art does.